What's up, everybody? So we are back with episode 4, season 2 of Site B mode, and as you guys know, haven't done an episode in a long time. We have been updating some of our GoPro camera tech, and just to give you guys better views of these dinosaurs, and just a whole bunch of technology type stuff that we've been working on over the past, what has been like almost 2 months since we last done an episode. So these are little things that may happen in the course of episodes and in between episodes. That way we can always make sure that you guys are getting the best view at home of these amazing creatures, because these these documentaries that we give you guys are some of the only documentaries that you can see, that you can view these dinosaurs. So we just want to make sure that we're giving you guys a very, very, very good show at home, and we want to make sure you guys are really enjoying the experience. So and it's never fun taking a long break like that, I will say. We as a company always this is like our second home, being on Isla Sorna, getting this amazing footage for you guys all the time. This is stuff we really enjoy doing. So anyways, today we're going to be exploring 2 locations on Isla Sorna, and we have a topic that I want to talk about, just like we usually do in our Site B episodes. We never know what might happen. We just explore the area, see what's in the area. I'll give you guys some insight on some of the dinosaurs, and I'll always give you guys some insight on what we've been doing here on the island, because we're always up to some very, very good stuff. So yeah, so like I said, we have a good topic to talk about, and we're going to be exploring the area. So right off the bat, we have, seems like a group of Parasaurolophus. Get close up. These are some of the Parasaurolophus that Ian Malcolm reported on. So here on the island, we like to they are so loud. But here on the island, we like to call these Parasaurs our 97 variants, because when Ian Malcolm was on Isla Sorna back in 1997, these were the variants that he documented. And here are some Stegosauruses, along with some Gallimimuses. So we have a nice little ecosystem going on here. Oh, and some Aranosauruses. So this kind of goes into the topic already. I didn't want to start talking about the topic yet, but these Aranosauruses are gonna force me to talk about the topic. So we've been doing a little. How can I put what I'm trying to say? We've been, as you guys know, we extract DNA from fossils, and we fill in the gaps with animal DNA. Animals that aren't extinct. Frogs, birds, etc., etc. But that doesn't mean we don't try our best to extract the most DNA that we can out of the fossils that we find, because we want to make sure that the dinosaurs we bring back look almost identical to what they would have looked, hundreds of millions of years ago. So I don't remember if you guys seen any Aranosauruses in season 1. I'm not entirely sure, but I will be the first to say that Aranosauruses in season 1 did not look anything like this. Aranosauruses in season 1, they were more chubbier, more bulky, a lot bigger. The sail on their back, it didn't have any, any loops in it. Well, this isn't necessarily a loop, but let's just say a dent. It didn't have any dents in the sail or anything like that. So there's just some species here on the island that we've been doing a lot of work on. We've been, keeping them back in the lab, extracting more DNA, extracting as much DNA as we can from their fossils, and we've just been recloning them. So these are, how can I put it? Let's say Aranosauruses version 2. Let's just say that. So these are our second cloned Aranosauruses here on the island. Our firstly cloned ones have been held back, and they are in some of our facilities here on the island, because we will continue to study them as well. But there aren't that many more of them on the island, because we are trying to get those out of the island and get these guys, the newer Aranosauruses here on the island. And I do not mean that we are killing them, but so they don't get killed and we lose what DNA we did extract from the original Aranosauruses, or whatever original dinosaurs that we have. We'll keep them in certain facilities. So yeah, so that's the main topic of what we'll be talking about today as we explore the island, is that some species are getting a upgrade, I guess you could say. Some species here on the island are definitely getting an upgrade because we're going back, we're studying those species more, trying to learn from our mistakes, trying to extract as much DNA from the original fossils as we can, because as time goes on and as the future proceeds to come, our our technology will only improve. So yeah, these are newly improved version 2 version version 2.0 Ouranosaurus. They are as close as we can get to what they would have looked like hundreds of millions of years ago, and they take refuge, I guess you can say, in more wooded type areas like this, more redwooded type areas, along with the Parasaurolophus and Stegosaurus that you've seen with the galleys. So as you can see, they are broken up into huge herds, and as I said, they are taking refuge here with the Gallimimuses. So we're going to check and see what else could possibly be in the area. You know, as I stressed multiple times, Isla Sorna is a very, very, very huge island, so you never know what could be anywhere. And that's the best part about these Site B series. The Site B series, you know, there's a lot of places to go on the island. Sorry, I was distracted. We have two Carnotauruses here in the area. So these are two brother Carnotauruses. We have been keeping track of them for a while now, and we know they are from the same clutch of eggs because we had tabs on them when they were born, and they actually come from a clutch of 7. Now I don't know what happened to the other 5 siblings, but you know, usually dinosaurs do split apart when they get a lot older, especially carnivores, because they do not like to share food sources and territory. But apparently, you know, these guys have stuck together. Sometimes dinosaurs from the same clutch of eggs don't always come out the same color variant, but these guys are, you know, twins. Unless one of them get a scar, you won't be able to tell them apart. So they are taking refuge here in this little redwooded area, which is, you know, this is about a few miles down from where you guys seen Big Edie at. So this is like that same area, but a few miles down. So that's why the area kind of looks pretty similar. So they do technically share this area with Big Edie, but they won't go into that exact territory that she's in, because as you guys seen from the last episode, Big Edie is pretty aggressive. So in this area, these Carnotaurus brothers, they have plenty food to choose from. They probably won't hunt the Stegosauruses. Stegosauruses are, you know, they're pretty hard for any carnivore to take on. So I doubt they'll even waste time taking on any Stegosauruses when they have, you know, dinosaurs like Gallimimuses in the area. And it's weird to see Gallimimuses not in huge groups. And they have Ouranosauruses in the area. So along with Parasaurolophus. So why take on Stegosauruses when you got those guys in the area? So anyways, want to venture out a little bit more, see what else we can see what else could possibly be in the area. That's always, for me, that's always the fun part about getting this footage for you guys. I honestly never know what I'm going to bump into while recording, you know. So usually my reactions are like first time reactions. Nothing is faked or staged. So we have more Gallimimuses. Gallimimuses seems to cover this area pretty much, and it honestly shocks me because our ornithopods like Gallimimuses, Stryphiomimuses, and Archiniphomimuses, you usually see them in wide open type areas. But I mean, those guys, you know, the Ornithomimuses, you will see them everywhere amongst the island. So they probably, you'd be surprised, you know, you'd be surprised who might get tired of each other. So they probably get tired of each other and try to find new areas to go to, which is why you will see, you know, galleys taking refuge here. You know, they're everywhere. You'll see galleys taking refuge here in redwooded type areas, and it's honestly not bad because, you know, you instead of it, I feel like it would personally be smart because galleys can get picked off pretty easily. It would personally, in my opinion, be smart for a galley to be in a redwooded area. They can stay hidden pretty easily. So yeah, but anyways, we have some Chasmosauruses here. Not a ceratopsian that you see too much in the on the island, like the Trikes, Sinoceratops, the Pachyrhinosauruses, but and the Torosauruses. But it's always cool to run into these guys. You know, growing up, I had a blue Chasmosaurus dinosaur toy, so I fell in love with it. I thought it was a trike, but I mean, if whoever grew up like collecting dinosaur toys, the old vintage dinosaur toys, if you ever, you know, turned them over and look on their stomachs, you would see that the name would be at the bottom of their stomach. So I always thought that the Chasmosaurus toy I had was a Triceratops, but you know, it was actually a Chasmosaurus. So that's pretty cool. You know, I love seeing these guys here on the island. You know, just to grow up collecting them as a kid, and now, you know, work with Ingen and be able to take part in seeing these guys here on the island and take care of them. For me, it just really means a lot. And so let's see what we have over here. So we have some more Parasaurolophus over here. Parasaurolophus are just like our Edmontosaurus. You will see them in every biome here on Isla Sorna, because we have different biomes here on Isla Sorna, and we will get into that in future videos, because as I said in the beginning of the season, episode 1 of season 2, that is, we have been doing a lot of reconstruction here on Isla Sorna, and I will have to go into depth and detail about what I mean when I say that, but we'll save that for later videos. So anyways, let's see what else we can find. So over here we have, okay, perfect. So we have a Giganotosaurus here, and as you guys know, we successfully cloned and released. Okay, I think we have a hunt going on. Okay, yeah, so we actually get to see this Giganotosaurus trying to take on that Galley. Galleys are very, very fast. Seems to be confusing the Giganotosaurus. So this is pretty cool that we get this on film, and she's not giving up on her. Okay. So she caught the Galley. We actually caught up to this Giganotosaurus right on time. So as I was about to say, you guys, if you guys remember in season 1, we successfully cloned and released Giganotosauruses and sent them out into the wild. But if you remember, the Giganotosauruses looked very, very different to what you guys are seeing right here. So this basically goes into what I was saying about us changing up. I was wondering if she was going to eat it. Us changing up how the dinosaurs look. So if you remember what I said about the Tyrannosauruses early in the video, we did the same thing with the Giganotosauruses. So what you are looking at is as close as we can get to what a Giganotosaurus would have looked like, you know, millions and millions and millions of years ago. And what we've done with the original Giganotosauruses that we've cloned is let me see, what's that? Okay, so there's 2 more Giganotosauruses, amazing. And they're scaring off this Parasaurolophus. But these Giganotosauruses that you're looking at are as close as what we can get them to look. They're as close as what we could have gotten them to look like, you know, millions of years ago. And these guys are bonding and showing social traits, which is very amazing. You know, not only do we work to clone these dinosaurs to look, you know, as close as what they would have looked like a long time ago, we also work to get, you know, amazing traits out of them. We don't want, let's see, is that another one? So okay, so that's amazing. So we have 4 Giganotosauruses sharing this territory, and you know, fossil records actually show that Giganotosauruses were group type dinosaurs anyways, just like Allosauruses. So as you can see, we are doing, you know, the best we can to extract those social traits and, you know, have them in our dinosaurs here on the island. So even though they're kind of spread out, they are full aware of each other. They are full aware that they are sharing this territory with each other, and I just think that is very beautiful. But anyways, what I was saying was, our original Giganotosauruses, just like with our original Tyrannosauruses, they are being held back actually for more study type reasons. You know, this is something that we just didn't, you know, do. This is something we've done a long time ago before we even started recording for season 2. So we were able to recall. It's like a recall back on something bad in the grocery store, you know. So this is what we did with the dinosaurs. We were able to go out and collect those firstly cloned Giganotosauruses, and they will spend the rest of their lives. We could have kept them in a wild, but we don't want them crossbreed. We don't want those firstly cloned Giganotosauruses breeding with our new Giganotosauruses. Not that it would cause any issues, but we just don't want that going on here on the island. We want to keep track of anything that does breed, and, you know, just make sure we keep track of everything. I don't want to say we don't want any unauthorized breeding here on the island, because that's the whole point of Site B. That's the whole point of the famous quote, "Life finds a way," and that's exactly what happens here. But I mean, as you guys know, we help life find a way here. You know, whatever might decrease, and and I explained this plenty of times, whatever population might decrease, we're going to help it increase. So we don't just let life do what it wants here, because this series would probably be bad because there's, you know, for example, the original Spinosaurus from 2001, which was a female. And if you guys go back to season one, and I talked a little bit on that original Spinosaurus, and I gave a little information on it. So you guys remember, she was very strong. She was a very, very, very strong individual, very, very aggressive, and her alone looked like these two. I don't know why this Parasaurolophus is not thinking about getting out of this area. She probably feels very vulnerable. But that Spinosaurus alone was able to cause a very, very bad extinction on the Isla Sorna back in 2001. And that's exactly what was going on when we came back. Or at least when, because I've only been working here at Ingen for 2 years now. So, but you know, my superiors who've been here longer, they told me, you know, when they've come back, when they came back to the island, you know, I guess you can say to restore balance to the island, you know, the species were not like what they are now, and it was so horrible. You know, she hunted that female Spinosaurus. Basically, she did so much damage that, you know, unfortunately, she caused her own extinction because she hunted off most of what she, you know, was eating at the time. Unfortunately, I'm very curious as to why this Parasaurolophus is not thinking about running away. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. You know, like I said, that was going to be one of the main topics about this episode. We are doing a recall back on certain species, and we only do that when our technology is upgraded to a point where we feel like we can take a fossil like a Giganotosaurus or a Tyrannosaurus and extract a certain amount of DNA from them to where we can get a more accurate, you know, dinosaur, or a more accurate, you know, what they would have been millions and millions and millions of years ago. So and this Parasaurolophus is finally trying to get out of the area. So check and see what else we have down here. And as I mentioned, we will be visiting 2 locations. We're just going through this location to see what's all in the area. We got more Parasaurolophus. It's like I mentioned, it's very, very, very surprising to see galleys not, you know, packed up together. Honestly, it's honestly very strange. Galleys are, you know, any small dinosaur that can't really defend itself well and relies on speed to get away, they're better off staying in huge packs because they won't get picked off very easily. And these Giganotosaurus seems to be pretty firm on sticking with this territory, and they have a lot to, you know, they have a lot to hunt. I mean, look at all the herbivores that are in the area, so they definitely have a lot to hunt. And they do technically share this territory with Big Edie, but, you know, let me see what we have over here. We have Giganotosaurus actually eating, what is this? It's like a Notosaurus or a Notosaurus. Oh, okay, so yeah, wow. So these guys you don't really see as much as the Ankylosauruses and the Euoplocephalus, but it's cool to actually be able to see what now they are a lot smaller too. They can't defend themselves as well as an Ankylosaurus, and one of them unfortunately just got picked off by one of these huge, beautiful Giganotosauruses. So it's very amazing to see these guys do what they do. And as I mentioned, you probably won't see Big Edie come down this far into this stretch of technically is her territory, because she knows she shared this territory with, you know, what was that, four Giganotosauruses that we counted, and those Giganotosauruses, 4 of them at least, are more than capable of, you know, taking Big Edie out with ease. And that's something we definitely don't want to see happen. Big Edie, we care about Big Edie, just like we care about Rexy, just like we care about the other female Rex that I showed at the facility, and I believe it was episode 2. So anyways, we're going to get ready to head to another location here on Isla Sorna. I just always want to make sure I cover whatever proximity we are recording in. I always want to make sure cover the entire proximity. I don't want to miss anything that could possibly be in the area. I believe we started off up here. Let me see, what is that? Tyrannosaurus. Let me see. So we have a lot of we have a lot of Tyrannosauruses, Parasaurolophus, Stegosauruses, all mixing in this area. And truth be told, you know, mixed packing is not something that's not common amongst dinosaurs. Oh, and we have a Pachycephalosaurus. I doubt this is probably the only Pachycephalosaurus in this area. Sounds like something's going on. That sounded like, I'm trying to, it sounded like a carnivore roaring. It didn't sound like the Giganotosaurus though. Or, because I know we have Giganotosauruses and Carnotauruses in this area, but I don't think that was a Carnotaurus roaring actually. Let me see, what do we have here? Okay, so yeah, I knew. So yeah, that Pachy was probably meeting up with the rest of the Pachys. I knew that was not the only Pachycephalosaurus. Pachycephalosaurus are just like Stygimolochs, Dracorexes, Dryosauruses. You're going to see them in huge groups. And like I say often, you know, for me, it makes a lot of sense to see small dinosaurs in huge groups. That way, those small dinosaurs do not get picked off easily. And, you know, for that reason, that's why I'm somewhat confused on why the Gallimimuses are so spread out here on the island. It is a possibility that they could have been usually when you have a group of dinosaurs, they can get scared out of their group, so they could have gotten separated, and you know, which is very, very bad for them, because you know, the more longer they spend separated, the more easier they can get picked off. So anyway, so we're gonna head out of this area. We're gonna head into another area. You know, I'm not sure if our Giganotosauruses, our 4 Giganotosauruses, will be, well, not these 4 in particular, and I'm not sure if we will see any other Giganotosauruses here on the island. I mean, well, here in this episode, but it was very cool to get a good look at them, and you know, you get a good look at how they look now versus how they looked then in season 1. So let me see what we have here. So this is our Carnotaurus that we've seen earlier. Don't know if the other brother is in the area, but seems to be stalking the Parasaurolophus, the Parasaurs. The Parasaurs are smart. They're not stupid. They're probably going to keep their distance away from the Carnotaurus. They're going to keep him at bay, because he is, you know, everything in his territory right now is its own territory, so they all have to respect each other in a way. So yeah. But anyways, we're going to head out to the next area, guys. Okay guys, so we are back in the next area. So this is a more jungle type biome here on Isla Sorna. So we're gonna see what we can explore. I mean, we're gonna explore it and see what we can find here in this area. If I wouldn't have looked down right now, this little creature would have blended in with this environment. So right off the bat, we have Homocephaly and a Dryosaurus. And they seem to be spooked by something. And we have a Corythosaurus. So yeah, so we have a couple of Corythosauruses. You know, I don't honestly know what's going to be in this area. Some areas here on Isla Sorna we venture to a lot, and some areas we don't. So some things we could be seeing for the first time in a long time, and some things we could be seeing, you know, something that we see often. And here's another Ceratopsian, just like the Chasmosaurus in the redwooded area. This Styracosaurus is, you know, a Ceratopsian on the island that we don't see often. We are aware, I don't document it. What I'm about to say, I don't document it as much, but we do species counts a lot, so we can keep track of, you know, the counts here on the island. You know, certain dinosaurs, well, actually all the dinosaurs, we have to keep track of their numbers here on the island. We have to make sure they're doing good, because if we don't keep track of their numbers, we won't know if we have to repopulate or not. We won't know who's decreasing in numbers or anything like that. So, you know, the point is that we are aware that, you know, Ceratopsians like Styracosaurus and Chasmosauruses are here on the island. We just don't see them as much because some dinosaurs are more successful than others. And yes, that is a Velociraptor. As you guys know, we have our tiger variants here on the island and our O1 variants that Dr. Alan Grant reported on here on Isla Sorna. But okay, here's another Velociraptor. But those aren't the only Velociraptors here on Isla Sorna. Oh well, there's a lot of Velociraptors. So these are, you guys, this is the first time that you guys are seeing Velociraptors here in season 2. Last time you guys seen them was in season 1. So and these are not, this is neither the O1 variant nor the 97 variant that Dr. Ian Malcolm and Alan Grant reported on. So we're gonna follow these guys for a minute and see what they are up to. We're always all the time, you know, doing recloning here in our labs. So these are some of our new species of velociraptors. Now they do come from the original velociraptors, of course. As I mentioned before, and I believe it was episode 2 when we went to one of our facilities, most of the dinosaurs you will see are all from the original dinosaurs that were here before, way back in the early 80s and 90s. And what's that? I believe that was a Dryosaurus. So yeah, so these velociraptors, though they are not the 97 and 01 variants that Dr. Malcolm and Alan Grant reported on, they are from those original clones. These are just new clones. We have to keep clones constantly going because they will be the future. Seems that they're stocking that Dryosaurus. They will be the future of what, you know, wow, so much vegetation. They will be the future of keeping, you know, the species going, you know. And, you know, far in the future, once, well, I don't want to say once our 97 and 01 variants, our 97 and 01 Velociraptor variants die off, because that won't be the case, because that's why we have them in the facility, so we can keep extracting DNA from them when they die off, so we can keep them going. So, these Velociraptors, it doesn't surprise me that these raptors are in thick vegetation right now, because, you know, velociraptors, they like to stay hidden, they like to catch their prey by surprise, and they have a nice variety to choose from. They have some Corythosauruses in the area, along with some Dryasauruses, and we did see a Homocephaly earlier. So, well, there's one Homocephaly, there's thousands of Homocephalies. So, this is our male variant, actually, and I'm pretty sure there are females in the area. We would just have to see if we can find them. So yeah, so Corythosauruses would definitely be something easy for them to take out. You know, a group of Velociraptors, there's almost no Hadrosaur that could, you know, get away from a group of Velociraptors, actually. So we're going to continue to explore this area. We're probably going to run into more raptors. You know, areas with thick vegetation, as I already mentioned, are usually full of Velociraptors, or, you know, any small type carnivore that are impacts. Here we have a Wurosaurus, which I believe you guys did see already in some of the earlier episodes here in season 2. So these guys are like mini Stegosauruses. We'll see them in large packs, but not packs as large as what you will see the Stegosauruses in. And they can honestly get picked off pretty easily. They are a part of a new ecosystem too, you know, that we have here on Isla Sorna. Okay, so this is actually pretty exciting. So here is a Therizinosaurus. So this is you guys' first time actually seeing a Therizinosaurus. You know, make a long story short, we have fossils here that we haven't extracted DNA from yet. And that is very exciting, because that means there's always a possibility that we're going to have new dinosaurs here on the island. And that was the case with this beautiful Therizinosaurus. So we did a, I guess you could say, you know, me and my coworkers, we had a little party or whatever, and we did a little raffle choice, and we all had suggestions, you know, like a pull from the bucket type game. We all had suggestions on what dinosaur, because we had the fossils of certain dinosaurs that aren't here on the island yet. And we decided, you know, we were all trying to decide on what dinosaur that we wanted to, you know, reclone, and Therizinosaurus was one of those dinosaurs. And it's very interesting to see Therizinosaurus, you know, especially for you guys for the first time, because Therizinosaurus is one of those dinosaurs where, you know, it was so much, you know, suggestions about it, and what did it do, and how did it live, and how did it use its claws. And studying it, I will say that everything that scientists, you know, said about the Therizinosaurus was, you know, I want to say about, dang, it went into the trees. I want to say about 90% right. And, you know, our Therizinosaurus here on the island, they are not social with each other at all. Only time you will see these guys with each other is when they are breeding. These guys are highly aggressive, and they will not hesitate to defend their territory. So this huge thing probably cares less about Velociraptors in the area. This thing is weird, man. It just the way it acts, you know, like this is like a huge pot-bellied bird, man. A huge ostrich with huge arms and claws. You know, this thing can defend itself against almost any predator here on the island. And, You know, I'm glad. You know, I voted for this guy to be brought back to life. So I'm glad that we actually have this guy. You know, I don't want to say any of the other suggestions of dinosaurs that we were all, or at least that my coworkers were voting on, because you know those dinosaurs could be recloned in the future. We don't always just, you know, get random fossils and just try to reclone them, because a lot of stuff, a lot of money, and it's a huge process that goes into recloning dinosaurs. So we just try to be smart about what we reclone. So yeah, and those two, I'm pretty sure every dinosaur fan knows, but Therizinosaurus is a not a meat eater, or a carnivore I should say, but you know it does eat vegetation. It will defend itself and kill a carnivore if it has to. It's a vegetarian type eater. It does like fruits, you know, high rich fruits. So yeah, I'm not really surprised that it's in this jungle type area. You know, it's an antisocial type dinosaur, so it'll probably want to stay hidden, you know, and tucked away in the thick vegetation here, away from, you know, everything else. So that's pretty cool, you know, that we got to see that Therizinosaurus. I doubt there will be more in the area, for the simple reason that these guys are highly aggressive towards one another, you know, and that's something that when we recloned them, that was something that we actually tried. Oh crap. Okay, so here's a Spinosaurus. So wow, that's crazy. A Spinosaurus and a Therizinosaurus in the area, and both these guys are highly territorial. This is indeed a male Spinosaurus, fully grown, very thick and broad and muscle. Okay, we're gonna see if he's gonna come out on the other side of this vegetation. So as I mentioned earlier, we've been splicing with the DNA of our dinosaurs. And if you guys remember, our Spinosaurus, the original Spinosaurus, was very aggressive, and that DNA rubbed off on the original on the other clones that we successfully released in season 1. So we did a recall back on our Spinosauruses, but not to change up how they look. We did a recall on them to change up how they acted with each other and how they interacted with the rest of the dinosaurs here on Isla Sorna. So they are still aggressive. They are still very territorial, but not as territorial as they were before. If you guys remember, the original Spinosaurus and the ones that we cloned in season 1, those guys were good enough, or aggressive enough, or dangerous enough to cause a great extinction here on the island. You know, the island is very different than what it was in season 1, very different than what it was 20 something years ago when, you know, Alan Grant was here, Dr. Alan Grant and Dr. Malcolm. And you know, back then when Dr. Grant was here, there was only one Spinosaurus here on the island, and that Spinosaurus alone could cause an extinction. So we messed with the DNA of the Spinosaurus because we don't want to say, you know, we don't want to have like 6 or 7 Spinosauruses in the area and they're just going around just killing everything. So yeah, so we did a recall on our Spinosauruses too. The original ones that we had in season 1, they are, I know a few of them did die off, but some of them are still alive, and you know, some of them did made it. The Spinosaurus population is doing very good here on Isla Sorna, and it is thriving very well. As far as the species, I mean, as far as the numbers and how they are doing in numbers, I will have to go back to my lab, because I have in my office, I have, you know, a good number of how many. I mean, I have files of all the dinosaurs here on the island and what their numbers are like and how they are doing. So excuse me, I would have to go back, you know, just to know for sure about the numbers of the Spinosaurus. I would have to go back and, you know, fully check. But so yeah, so we have a Spinosaurus in the area, and it just, you know, this for me just goes to show that, you know, certain carnivores will spread out in certain areas. You have Big Edie in the redwooded type area, even though, you know, Tyrannosaurus rexes will venture off in any type area. You have the Giganotosauruses in that redwooded type area too, and you have a Spinosaurus in a thick vegetation type area, and he shares this area with that Therizinosaurus. But he's fully aware. He seems to be tracking something. He's fully aware that that Therizinosaurus is a very, 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 very dangerous type dinosaur. So he's definitely tracking something. He probably doesn't mind sharing his territory with him. And he shares this area with velociraptors. You know, velociraptors are not really a problem. He has dinosaurs to pick to choose from, like Dryasauruses. I love Dryasauruses and the noises that they make. She's gonna run off, which is very smart for her. But he has a lot of food to choose from. Dryasauruses, we're seeing Homocephales, we're seeing Corythosauruses. Probably not going to mess with the Styracosaurus too much, mainly because you have other easier dinosaurs to choose from. Here's more Velociraptors, or at least just one raptor. We're gonna see what else is in the area as we, take our GoPro camera above all this thick vegetation. So we're just checking the area, seeing what else could possibly be in the area right quick. It could be one. There could be, who knows? There could be another Spinosaurus in the area. As I mentioned, there could be another Therizinosaurus in the area. The only way to know for sure is to check. This area is very thick with vegetation, rich vegetation, so. But that's why we have our very amazing GoPro cameras to get over all of this. This area is not really too heavily populated like the last area we were in too, that I'm noticing. I want to say there's a lot of Velociraptors around. And, where there's Velociraptors, Velociraptors are not going to be in an area where there's no herbivores at. And they will probably stick in areas where there's, a lot of herbivores to choose from. A lot of small type herbivores like the Homocephales. And, Dryasauruses that we've seen earlier. Velociraptors are always going to be, very interesting to study because we continue to extract DNA from the ones that we have on this island to keep, the breed going. So, so we've seen a lot of Velociraptors in this area. You probably don't share this area with any other small carnivores. I mean, there's no taking any aggressive traits out of Velociraptors anytime soon. If they were even coming close to causing extinction on the island, which they could never, because, they're not even that type of dinosaur. They will choose to hunt small dinosaurs, group up on hadrosaurs like Corythosauruses, like the one you're looking at now, and Parasaurolophus. Point is, they're not going to cause any, great harm to the dinosaurs here on the island. So, yeah. But anyways, we're reaching that timestamp that I like to end off on. I don't ever want to go up to like 45 minutes of recording. Honestly, I could look at these species and talk about them all day. And I know you guys too. This is one of the only places here in the world where you can look at these beautiful, amazing creatures, and I honestly can't stress that a lot. That's why I never mind getting this footage for you guys. There will be times where we look at certain dinosaurs a lot longer than we look at others. For example, our Therizinosaurus that you guys seen for the first time, and our Spinosaurus that you guys seen for the first time in season 1. We might not have looked at them for a long time, but I will always say, with the footage that I will constantly be pushing to get out for you guys, there's a good chance, there's a 100% chance that we're always going to run into the same dinosaurs, like our Spinosauruses and our Therizinosaurus. So yeah, so we're going to get ready to close this episode out. I'm glad that I got to show you guys 2 locations. Glad that I got to, explain to you guys some of the recall on dinosaurs that we've been doing, some of the, social traits, and some of the accurate appearances that we're trying to get out of our dinosaurs. I'm glad that I got to explain that process to you guys. I didn't go into too much detail on how the process goes because I would have been talking forever, because it's a very long and hard process. But we will go through that to make sure that we're getting the most out of these dinosaurs, because like I said, Isla Sorna is like our second home. This is where we spend most of our time away from our families, so we just want to make sure we put a lot of work into it. But anyways, I appreciate you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys for waiting patiently, because the last episode was like a month and a half ago. So I will catch